Battlefield 2042 has just been released into its early access period, and I've put a ton of hours into it to bring you this review. Now, if you are unfamiliar with Battlefield 2042, then it's a team-based, large-scale first-person shooter with infantry, ground and air vehicles, fighting on big maps with up to 128 players. It features an evolution of the conquest mode, all-out warfare, an extraction royale called Hazard Zone, and a custom server rule editor called Portal. But how does it play? Player movement is fast in 2042. It definitely feels quicker than previous installments. You can jump, crouch, prone, vault, slide, sprint and double sprint. You can no longer roll when you land after jumping from a height or lie down on your back like in Battlefield 5. I don't know why they've removed these features, but in terms of player control, it feels like they've taken a step back here. Gun handling is a really mixed bag at the moment. Generally, the default weapon in first-person shooters is the assault rifle, and I jumped into the game using the assault rifle, and it was pretty miserable. The recoil and bullet spread on these rifles are really high and a bit unpredictable. It's the same for an LMG, but for that class of weapons, I would say that's kind of normal. So I switched to the SMG and wow, what a difference. Very little recoil, and it can beat an assault rifle not only at close range, but at long range as well. I expect the rifles or SMG to be patched very soon, as I believe one of these class of weapons is a bit broken. In Battlefield 5 they introduced recoil patterns for the first time into the franchise. It feels like that recoil patterns are in 2042, but it does just feel really inconsistent. Instead of your sights following the recoil pattern up, it looks like they've introduced bullet deviation to the recoil pattern as well. And especially when you strafe shoot while ADSing, you can just really notice the bullets deviating big time. So keep an eye out for that while you play. So in terms of gun handling and recoil control, against Battlefield 5, it looks like they've taken a step back. They have introduced the T menu for weapons. This is where you can switch out your attachments on the fly. It's a very cool feature. And the first game I can remember doing this was Crisis, and I'm surprised it's taken this long for other games to start using it. However, I don't really change my attachments in game at all. I may change the scope here and there based on my location on the map, or switch my ammo type out if I run out of ammo for the default type. I feel that you will build your gun with your ideal attachments and then generally leave it alone. I gotta mention that sniping in this game can be very satisfying, especially because of the size of the maps. You can end up landing some really long range headshots. You just gotta get used to the bullet drop and velocity, which feels like it hasn't changed that much from Battlefield 5. You will need to aim ahead of every moving target at every range. A big disappointing thing is the lack of weapons in the base 2042 game. There are 3 sidearms, 4 SMGs, 4 assault rifles, 2 LMGs, 3 DMRs, 3 snipers and 3 shotguns. For a Battlefield game, or really any multiplayer shooter, that is a really small amount. Also, there is only 1 anti-tank launcher and 1 anti-air launcher. And since there are very few weapons to unlock, it does take a very long time to unlock them. For example, the second LMG, get to rank 32. The second sidearm, rank 17. They need to add more weapons in quickly. The few maps we get in 2042 are huge. Some of the biggest we've ever seen in a Battlefield title. Around the capture points they can play really well, however the maps suffer from a standard problem in open world games. Comparing these maps to Battlefield 5, you can see they have sacrificed detail for scale. In Battlefield 5 there is so much more detail, world objects like houses, cover and just stuff around the map and capture points. Quite a few of these capture points feel almost empty. Quite a few of the capture points in 2042 feel almost empty. You could also destroy most of the cover and buildings in Battlefield 5, then build some things back up with the fortification system, bringing in sandbags, gun emplacements, tank traps, barbed wire, and you could really fortify a location to help to defend it. That level of destruction in 2042 is gone. and so has the fortification system, a step back for the franchise. The maps in 2042 are screaming for buildable areas to help fill in the void between capture points, or to make these points more defendable and interesting. While the maps might be big, there's just a lot of nothing in between the capture points. No points of interest, nothing interesting, no little outposts or anything. It can feel very barren at times. Luckily though, you can call in vehicles that will parachute down to you, so you can quickly head to a capture point. This feature is so good because it helps to reduce that downtime or travelling time between points, so you can keep in combat as much as possible. The capture point system has seen its first major evolution in a Battlefield title. Now each point has been separated into 2 capture points, so point A will now be A1 and A2, and to control a sector you need both points. It looks like this feature has been lifted right out of World War III, as that game launched with this system back in 2018. For Battlefield, this is a great change. What this seems to have done is make people stick around the points more to unintentionally defend them. Since you need both points for the sector, you will find yourself capturing point 1, then moving to point 2, but then the enemy starts attacking 1, so you fall back to it. Most of the time in previous Battlefield games, people just move from point to point, but now I am seeing people hang around the control points more, and I believe it's because of this change. During my game time, I have not come across a single AI soldier yet, and thank God for that. The AI in the beta were brain dead, but thankfully it looks like they were only there to fill up the player count. I do have to say that when you do get into a big firefight, it does feel like a Battlefield game. Lots of people shooting, dying, battle chatter, vehicles, explosions. The firefights can be very frantic, very engaging, and, well, fun. The more I was playing 2042, the more I was enjoying it, especially with friends. But 2042 does have an issue with spawn points. This has been carried over from the beta, and I've spawned in multiple times next to enemy soldiers, dying instantly or spawning behind them so I can instantly take them out. I cannot believe spawning is still an issue in Battlefield. It's not like this is the first game in the series. Also, the spawn map is pretty bad. If you want to spawn on a location where your squad is, it can actually be difficult to select who you want to spawn on, or if you want to spawn on the point itself, since all of their selection boxes overlap each other. They need to add the ability to either slightly zoom in on the map to make this easier, or have some selectors on the right hand side of the screen. Also, with the spawn issue, the spawn animation where you bring your weapon up and put a round in the chamber will just get you killed because you cannot fire while this is happening. Now let's touch on one of the biggest negatives to 2042, the specialists. Battlefield has been known for having classes, something like assault, medic, anti-tank, support, recon, etc. While some of these roles have changed throughout the years, they have always been there in one way or the other, and these roles traditionally have access to certain weapon types and equipment unique to their role. Like the anti-tank would have anti-tank launchers, the medic can revive and heal people, the engineers can repair tanks and put down landmines. This created a sort of forced teamwork between players, since you needed people to play these roles to take out the tanks, repair tanks, heal people and provide ammo. Each class would also have a unique look, so just at a glance you could tell who is who. But with 2042 they have thrown that all out the window. Now you have specialists. These specialists are unique, like hero characters, and they fall into an assault, engineer, recon and support roles in quotation marks. But that doesn't really mean anything. Each specialist does have access to a unique perk and piece of equipment, such as Jisoo, who has a wall hack ability and a perk to let them know if there are enemies nearby, Sundance, who has a wingsuit and grenades that just auto lock onto things and fly at them, and Webster, who has a grapple gun and can use ziplines quicker. But each specialist has access to every weapon and every non-unique gadget in the game. So you could grab the ghillie suit wearing specialist, give them an LMG, an anti-tank launcher and frag grenades. Not the sniper wielding ghillie suit wearer you'd expect. The specialist system has killed what little team play or teamwork there was in Battlefield. Now Battlefield is leaning more towards Call of Duty with its loadout system. This game is about getting a meta loadout, something that is purely the best. And since you no longer have a dedicated medic or a role with ammo, you have no idea who can give you some ammo or some extra healing. This is a big step back for Battlefield. It's lost a big part of Battlefield's identity. Specialists also create another couple of problems. The first is target acquisition. Since everyone chooses these same specialists, you will spot the same person that you are playing as, the same person your friends have chosen on the enemy team. So the game is full of these unique specialists just running around. And there will be moments where you hesitate before shooting at someone because they may be friend or foe. But to help combat this, every single friendly, whether you can see them or not, will have an indicator above their head so you can tell that they are friendly. So you will see plenty of dots all over your screen letting you know where all your friendlies are. Also for the enemy, at close ranges when you aim at them, their name appears in bright red over their heads. All of this just creates extra clutter on your screen. Another issue is because both teams are using the same specialists, there is no way to identify enemy positions by using their battle chatter. Since someone playing a certain specialist can reload next to you and they'll shout reload in their accent, an enemy behind cover somewhere else can reload and they will say the exact same thing in the exact same accent. So every single voice you hear could be an enemy or could be a friendly. There's no way to 100% identify if that's an enemy voice. Like in previous Battlefields, say Battlefield 5, if you're playing as the British sound, well, British, and the enemy team, the Germans, will sound German. Easy. Talking about the HUD, they need to add in more customization for it. Something like a HUD opacity, which apparently was in the beta, but now you can only change it for the minimap. Also, a HUD scale option would be great, so you can make the HUD smaller. It feels just a bit too big. The horrible bar at the top of the screen still exists from the beta, but they have changed it so where it used to be bright teal or red, now it's just a transparent black. Hazard Zone is the new Extraction Royale mode. In this mode you drop into one of the 2042 maps with your squad to find data drives from crashed pods or pods that crashed during the game. To win the game, you just need to get a drive and extract during one of the 2 extraction phases. If you don't extract, you lose. Every win grants you credits that you spend in this mode to equip your chosen specialist with better weapons and equipment. If you die, then you lose that equipment. The closest game I can equate this to is Hunt Showdown, where you go into a game with your team, kill AI, get the objective and extract. Here in 2042, as I said, you need to get these data drives, and these drives will have AI soldiers defending them, and you have to compete with 7 other player teams to get these drives and extract. The 2 extracts happen during the match and they are also defended by AI soldiers, who will keep spawning in while you wait for the extract. It can create these really hectic moments, especially while you're fighting other players. One of the issues of Hazard Zone is the lack of stakes. Yes, if you die you will lose the game and your loadout, but the equipment isn't that expensive. In other games like Hunt Showdown, not only will you lose your equipment, but your hunter will die and you will lose that hunter. And in that game you upgrade your hunter as you level them up. In Hazard Zone, it's just money. While the mode is fun, there are better Extraction Royale type games out there like Hunt Showdown, or for something more hardcore, Escape from Tarkov. It does feel like that this is a prototype mode of something bigger, and I hope they expand on this mode. Another new mode is Portal, and Portal is a web-based custom game creator tool that you can access at portal.battlefield.com. All you need is an EA account. Not only can you change settings such as health, recoil, map rotations, weapons, but you also get access to a logic editor which looks kind of crazy. Once you've created a custom game, you can then create a server in-game for free. This server will stay active as long as there are players in it. It all depends on the creator. With Portal, you get access to some content from Battlefield 3, Bad Company 2 and Battlefield 1942, which you can sprinkle into your custom games. As a tool, Portal is great, and I believe there will be many modes that players create in the future that will be very cool, but there will also be bad modes. It does just depend on the creator. These great modes will come, but right now it's full of custom servers dedicated for XP grinding. Not a great or imaginative use so far. Portal also needs full-time community servers, not just a temporary server. If you create a great game mode, this mode should get a full-time server so people can just keep playing it. Also, in the server browser for Portal, there isn't enough information as to what the custom rules are for the server. For example, it will tell you that weapon handling has been changed, but not any detail into how it has been changed. The scale of Battlefield 2042 is very impressive. Huge maps, huge draw distances, and huge performance issues. Yes. Many players are reporting big performance issues. I noticed while playing on my system, a Ryzen 3700X, RTX 3080, 32 gigs of RAM, that the GPU usage, according to Task Manager, when playing on high DLSS on quality at 1440p, was going from 0.3% to 4%. Why is the game barely using the GPU? It doesn't make sense. Although I was ranging from 60 to 100 FPS, so it's just really weird as to what's going on. We have got to hope that the drivers are released very soon for the game, because at the time of review, the only drivers that have been released for 2042 were the beta drivers. Also, it's rumoured that the now traditional Day 1 patch will be on the standard version release date on the 19th of November. If there's a patch ready, they need to put it out now, because plenty of people have pre-ordered the game or are EA Pro members who are playing it now. Onto how it looks though, again it's a bit of a mixed bag. While the scale is impressive, it does feel like the actual detail and world detail is lower than Battlefield 5. I believe they have sacrificed the detail for scale, and to me it doesn't look that much better than Battlefield 5 at all. Maybe even a downgrade in every aspect. While at times it can look very impressive with the lighting and the weather effects, nothing really stands out. They have also decided to scale back on their ray tracing support. Battlefield 5 had more ray tracing support with reflections, which did a lot to the visual quality, but 2042 only has ray traced ambient occlusion. Despite the performance issues, I have only come across one visual bug, which is this strange box effect on the water. Audio in general is pretty good, especially when you are in an intense firefight with multiple soldiers, vehicles and explosions. The sound effects all come together to create a symphony of carnage. All the weapons sound pretty good, the voices are well done and the explosions are awesome. Battlefield has always done sound pretty well, but one thing that it just sounds bizarre and off are the footsteps. I cannot figure out if it sounds like everyone is wearing those wooden clogs or slapping around barefoot like a hobbit. It doesn't sound right at all, and it sounds the same on every surface, so apart from footsteps, the audio is good. At the time of review, there are no microtransactions in game, but you can bet there will be a ton of microtransactions for specialists and weapon skins. And I can also bet that they will be priced very badly. It feels pretty sneaky from EA to not put microtransactions into this early access version, because this is what a lot of people are going to be playing to review their games, like I have. And I cannot give out false information at the time of review, but I can bet you microtransactions are coming, and they will not be worth the asking price. So, in conclusion, despite the issues of Battlefield 2042, the step backs from previous versions, the specialists, the map design, losing part of its teamwork identity, but then with its positives like general moment-to-moment gameplay, the potential of Portal, the audio, is it worth buying? Also, from my perspective, the beta was terrible, and it led to me cancelling my pre-order. I've just been able to play this because of Xbox Game Pass and EA Pro. The full release is definitely better than the beta, and I have been having quite a bit of fun with 2042 and even more fun with friends. I also hope that the day one patch fixes the performance issues that many are having. I've seen that people that love the beta dislike the full release, and people that dislike the beta like the full release. But the answer to the question, if you are starving for a new shooter, then I would recommend picking it up, as you could always refund it after playing it for a time. Or get something like EA Play Pro for a month to try it out. But for me, I have surprisingly enjoyed the game and I'm liking it more and more. So I would recommend picking this game up. Stay tuned for the channel for great first person shooter gameplay, tips, guides and reviews. If you like the video, please give it a like, subscribe for more, and thank you for watching.